today we are going to start chapter 6 metallurgy. Before this chapter, up to the chapter number 5, already we had completed. In chapter number 5 electrolysis you have studied, but in the examination you have got only 1 to 4 chapter. So this, I hope that now you can prepare chapter number 5 electrolysis, and today we start metallurgy. The metallurgy, it is divided in two parts. In the first part, that properties of metals and non-metals are given, and the second part, that extraction of metals are given. In extraction of metal, general method they have removed because 30% syllabus is removed because of that. But the problem is that without study of that topic, you cannot understand the metallurgy of aluminium. So that's why I will give I will explain that also, but I will tell you that the questions will not be asked to you. So now we are going to start about metals and non-metals. Metals and non-metals. Already definition of the metals and non-metals you have studied. So one side I will write metals, one side I will write non-metals. So what are metals? Already we studied, an atom is said to be metal if it loses one or more electron when supplied with energy. An atom is said to be metal if it loses one or more electrons when supplied with energy. It means if you are going to supply the energy, they will lose electron. That is, metallic character is explained by loss of electrons, or you can say metals are electron donors. So this much you have studied in the chapter number 1st, that periodic properties. So don't think that if you go from one chapter to another chapter, definition will change. So definition will not change. So in the comparison of the metal, I will write here non-metal. An atom is said to be non-metal if it gains one or more electrons when supplied with energy. That is, non-metallic character is explained by gain of electrons, or you can say non-metals are electron acceptor. Metals are electron donor and non-metals are electron acceptor. Valence electron, metals have 1, 2 or 3 valence electrons. Non-metals, as already you know, that 4, 5, 6, 7. Non-metals have 4, 5, 6 or 7 valence electrons. Then metals lose electrons to form positive ion. Just you see, sodium 281 loses 1 electron, form positive ion. Non-metals gain electrons to form negative ion. Example, well known, 287 chlorine, it takes 1 electron to form negative ion. Then valency is number of electrons lost, means during bond formation. Here valency is number of electrons gain. Just you see, in case of sodium loses 1 electron, form Na plus. So here the valency is plus 1. Chlorine 287 takes 1 electron, form negative ion. Valency is minus 1. Now bonding. As we have studied ionic bond is formed between metal and non-metal, and covalent bond is formed between non-metals. So metals will form ionic bond. Non-metals will form covalent and ionic bond. Now just you see, from this page number 128 I have taken this one. So metals, non-metals, one side metals, all the properties are given here. Here non-metals are given. Now properties of metals and non-metals. Simple introduction you have studied, and now here I want to tell you only exceptional part. They are asking the question. So you have to give the more importance for exceptional part. Just you see, first point is given lustrous. So metals are lustrous, it means can be polished. Non-metals are non-lustrous, but here exceptions are there, graphite and iodine. These two are the lustrous non-metal. So the question can be asked to you that give a non-metal which is lustrous. So you can say graphite or iodine. Then this state, metals are found in solid state. Only one non-metal is there, that is found in liquid state, mercury. This is very common question. Name a metal which is found in liquid state. So what you will write the answer? This bromine. Bromine is mercury is found into the liquid state. Then non-metals exist in all the three states: liquid, gas or brittle state. Brittle solid will be there. Now the question is for you, which non-metal is found in liquid state? I have written here bromine. Bromine is very important. This is very common question. They have asked many times in board paper. A metal found in the liquid state, mercury. A non-metal found in the liquid state, bromine, that you keep in most important category. Then melting and boiling point. Metals have high melting and boiling point. Exceptions, that potassium, sodium, potassium, mercury. Then non-metals have the low melting and boiling point. Exception here, carbon and silicon. Carbon, you know that 3500 very high melting point is there. So this is the exception. Then density, metals have high density, but sodium, potassium, calcium, they have the low density. And sodium, potassium, you know that even they are lighter than water. If you take the sodium or potassium, just you throw into the water, they will rotate on the water surface. Calcium is also a light metal, but it will sink because its density is more than 1. Metals have the low density, exception diamond. Diamond has the high density. Ductility means can be drawn into wire. So metals are highly ductile. Because of this you have seen that we are using the ropeway. So here exceptions are there, zinc and mercury. Non-metals, they have the low ductility. Exceptions are carbon fiber. This carbon fiber is highly ductile. Malleability, the property in which a metal can be beaten into sheet. So all the metals are malleable, but exception is zinc. Non-metals, they are non-malleable, but carbon fiber is malleable. Conductivity, all the metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. No exception is given here. Non-metals are non-conductor or poor conductor, but here exception is there, graphite. This question can be asked to you, name a non-metal which is good conductor of electricity, then your answer will be graphite. Then metals lose valence electron form cation, and cations are discharged at cathode. That you have studied CCA, previous chapter I told you. Cations will be discharged at cathode, anions will be discharged at anode. So metals, they lose electron, form the positive ion, and by the loss of electron oxidation takes place. So metals will be reducing agent. In any substance, if oxidation takes place, that will be used as reducing agent. So here it is given, alkali metals have one electron in their outermost shell, hence during reaction they readily give the valence electron, hence they are a strong reducing agent. This is also very common question. Why alkali metals are a strong reducing agent? Because they have the bigger atomic size and low ionization potential, so they can lose electron easily. They have only one valence electron, so they lose one valence electron easily. So that's why they are a strong reducing agent. Then non-metals gain valence electron, form anion, negative ion, and here addition of electron is there. So this is called reduction. And if any substance, if reduction takes place, it will be used as oxidizing agent. So I want to tell you, all the non-metals are used as oxidizing agent and all the metals are used as reducing agent. Because if metallic character is there, so metallic character is explained by loss of electron, and if the loss of electron is there, oxidation will be there, so it will be used as reducing agent. Non-metallic character is explained by gain of electron, and if the gain of electron is there, reduction is there, it means it will be used as oxidizing agent. So that you keep in your mind that all the metals are reducing agent and all the non-metals are oxidizing agent. Then metals form electrovalent chloride NaCl. One is metal, another is non-metal, so that's why it is electrovalent chloride. And here non-metals react with chlorine form covalent chloride because both are non-metal. Then regarding the oxide, metals form two type of oxide, basic oxide and amphoteric oxide. Amphoteric oxide only three are there: aluminum oxide, lead oxide, zinc oxide, and rest of the metals are basic oxide. Here non-metals, they form two type of oxide, acidic oxide and neutral oxide. Neutral oxide only four are there: carbon monoxide, nitric oxide, nitrous oxide, water, and rest of the non-metallic oxides are acidic oxide. Now position of metals in the periodic table means where the metals are present in the periodic table. So I want to tell you 80% known elements, 80% known elements are metals. Now I want to tell you, just you see, first A, second A, then here third B, fourth B, fifth B, sixth B, 7B, eighth in three part, then first B, second B, then third A, fourth A, fifth A, sixth A, 7A, and 0 group. Here 14 elements are there, that lanthanides and actinoids, lanthanoids and actinoids. So just you see the metal. This is alkali metal. Alkali metals. It means they are metal. Second A, alkaline earth metals. Here transition metals. Bottom inner transition metals. Then group number 13, third A to sixth A, they are called post transition elements. It means they are coming after the transition element, that's why they are called the post. So just you see, in diagonal position here metalloids are there, and here metal. At the top right corner non-metal. This one is metalloid. Then here metal, bottom metal. So just you see in the periodic table, everywhere you are getting metal, diagonally metalloid, and upper right corner you are getting the non-metal. That's why I told you that 80% known elements are metals. Just you go through your book. In the book it is shown here: metal, alkali metal, alkaline earth, transition, here metalloids, here non-metal, below metals, here also metals, and here particular names are given. So now we are going to take next one is occurrence of metals. Occurrence of metal, it means how metals are present in the nature. So I want to tell you, metals are present in the free state. Metals are found in free state. Free state, it means they will not react with atmospheric conditions. It means noble metals. Noble metals they are found in free state, just like the gold, platinum. And the second one, that metals are found in the form of some compounds. The metals which are reactive, they react with atmospheric conditions, so they are found in the form of oxides, means if they react with oxygen. They are found in the form of carbonates. They are found in the form of halides. It means if they react with halogens, you know that FCl, Bri. Then they are found in the form of sulfides. Sulfide means if they react with sulfur, then sulfide will be there, and then sulfate. So the metals which are reactive, they are found in the form of oxide, carbonates, halides, sulfides. Now just you see, I told you that metals are found in the combined state. So just you see oxide, bauxite, zincite, hematite, cuprite. Here you have to learn the names and formulas. Then carbonate, siderite, marble, calamine, magnesite. Halides, cryolite, fluorspar, horn silver, rock salt. Iron pyrite, zinc blende, galena, cinnabar. Gypsum, anglesite, barite, Epsom salt. So here it is asked to you, what is the formula of the bauxite, or the bauxite which element you can get, which metal can be extracted. So just you see aluminum is given. From the zincite, which metal you can extract? Zinc. Hematite, which one you can extract? Iron. So just I am going to mark here. This bauxite is very important, that in board paper they have asked. Hematite, then next cryolite, fluorspar, rock salt, then zinc blende, then gypsum. So these are the important, you all can study, but here you can give the more importance. Now we are going to start the metallurgy portion, as the chapter name is given. But before starting the metallurgy, some terms are there that you have to be familiar. So what are the terms? First of all, minerals, then ore, then matrix. Matrix are gangue. Then flux, then slag, and at the last metallurgy. So these are the terms you should be familiar. So first I am taking minerals. Metals are found in the form of some compounds, contain earthly impurities. Metals are found in the form of some compounds contain earthly impurities called minerals. Correct the spelling, minerals. So minerals, that metals are found in the form of some compounds contain earthly impurities that called mineral. In the book also definition is given, so either this one or what is given in a book, anyone you can study. Next one is ore. The mineral from which metal can be extracted profitably and conveniently. Profitably and conveniently. The mineral from which metals can be extracted profitably and conveniently called ore. I want to tell you, all the ores are mineral. All the ores are minerals, but all the minerals are not ores. This statement is correct. Just you see, all the ores are minerals, but all the minerals are not ore, because definition is given, the mineral from which metal can be extracted profitably and conveniently. What do you mean by profitably? It means it is not very expensive and the process must be simple. Then that mineral will be considered as a ore. And if you are getting the metal in difficulty and it is too much expensive, so that mineral will remain as a mineral that cannot be treated as ore. So that's why statement is given, all the ores are mineral, but all the minerals are not ore. So two definitions are clear. Now matrix or gangue. The impurities associated with ore particle. The impurities associated with ore particles, are called, means impurities means earthly impurities, just like the sand. The impurities associated with ore particles are called matrix or gangue. Now next one is flux and slag. Together I will explain flux and slag. Just you see, this flux combined with gangue form slag. So a chemical added in ore to remove the impurities in a form of a fusible material. A chemical added in ore to remove impurities in the form of fusible material. A chemical added in ore to remove impurities in the form of fusible material. The chemical added is called flux, and fusible material is called slag. Very simple. This I am giving by myself. From the book you can study. A chemical added in ore to remove impurities in the form of fusible material. It means when you are adding the chemical, it will react with the impurities and form a fusible material. Fusible means that can melt. The chemical added is called flux and the fusible material is called the slag. In one example, I will explain it, that we use in metallurgy of iron. So just you see, when the flux combined with gangue, it forms slag. Slag is the fusible material. So in the metallurgy of iron, we are using calcium carbonate. So this calcium carbonate is used as a flux. So this calcium carbonate decomposed to give calcium oxide and carbon dioxide, and this calcium oxide react with silicon dioxide, form calcium silicate. So just you see, this is the impurity in iron ore, so that will be called as gangue, and this combined with the gangue form fusible material. So this combined with a gangue, so this will be flux, and this fusible material will be a slag. So by this way impurities are removed. Now the last term, metallurgy. So the different steps through which metal can be extracted from ore constitute metallurgy. It means it is not a very simple process that you take the ore and just you think you can get the metal. For extraction of metal, so many steps are there. Many steps are there. So just you see all the steps together. Just you take all the steps together, and these all the steps together constitute metallurgy. Or another definition is given that metallurgy is a large scale process in which metal is extracted from the ore. So this large scale process is called the metallurgy. Or this way, the different steps through which metal can be extracted from ore constitute metallurgy. So by the different steps we are getting the metal, so that will together or constitute metallurgy. Now just you see, here all the terms are given that I have explained to you. Either what I wrote by myself, that definition you can follow, or you can study from book. Then this one is common ore of aluminium. It is coming in important category. Just you see what is given and how they will ask you. They can ask you what is the main ore of aluminium. So what is the main ore of aluminium? Bauxite is there. They can ask you chemical name of bauxite. So hydrated aluminum oxide, formula Al2O3.2S2O. They can ask you what is the chemical name of cryolite. Many times already asked in board paper. Chemical name of cryolite. So just you see sodium aluminum fluoride, Na3LF6. This is the formula. Corundum. So these two are important. Corundum aluminum oxide Al2O3. So in this table, I suggest you bauxite and cryolite give the more importance. If you go through the 10-year board paper, many times they have asked in 1 mark questions. Then ore of zinc, zinc blend, chemical name is zinc sulfide, then formula is ZnS. Calamine, zinc carbonate, ZnCO3, zincite, zinc oxide, ZnO. Then ore of iron, what is the main ore of iron? You will say the hematite. Chemical name iron third oxide or Fe2O3. Magnetite, tri-iron tetraoxide Fe3O4. Iron pyrite, iron disulfide FeS2. Spathic, iron ore, iron second carbonate FeCO3. So this table is important for you because this is given in the syllabus. Here you have to study the ore's name, then chemical name, ores, chemical name and formula.